Hi guys, welcome back. Scatlink here, and we are off for another entry of our What's in the Treasure Chest series. My unboxing series mostly reserved to Christmases and birthdays, or maybe other events that were pretty big and I got a big haul out of. Otherwise, it will be separate unboxings or other such videos that I will do. As you've seen before, I have a separate playlist for unboxings that are not included in this. Speaking of, I do have two unboxings that I plan to be doing once I finally actually received the games from Limited Run Games. One of them, which I've ordered since February 22nd of last year, which was the Shadow Man Classic Edition, excuse me. I was about to say Collector's Edition then, it pretty much is one. But I'm still waiting on that to be delivered. People have been getting it within the past month so far, finally being sent out, and I guess I must be at the back of the line or something, despite sending multiple emails asking, where is it? It says it's ready, it's not being sent, they're packaging it. And that was a month ago. So how long does it take to put it in a van and send it off to an airport? But enough about that. Don't want to be too salty, because I don't know if anyone's had prior experiences with Limited Run being a bit of a problem. I haven't had problems before. I don't know everyone's experiences with Limited Run, so I don't know if this is standard, but this is getting a bit annoying since I'm still waiting for it, and it's been over a year since it's finally started being in production and delivery. Hopefully I'll get my one-shot Wild Machine Edition as well. I've ordered the physical copy of that, so I can have it on my Switch. Yes, I could just download it, but I wanted the physical copy because I want a physical copy of that game. That would be so magical, and you can't play the original on Steam Deck. Unless maybe you play it in desktop mode, but because it interacts with the desktop and it's a Windows game, I don't know how that works on Linux. So I'm waiting for the Switch physical version to be, because I've got other stuff from Fangamer as well, and I want to do that all in an unboxing. And in terms of the game itself, I'm going to make it meta, so that'll be a bit of an interesting video for that. But before we get to that, we have this, and obviously, as I mentioned in the description down below, there is a time code that goes straight to the update part. I will be making a separate update video covering our recently complete projects as well as what we've got coming up, mainly because there's been a lot that we have done this year. It's just been going and going, like we haven't stopped, like almost near daily uploads, along with other things as well. I've probably been the most productive this year that I've been so far, and I've got close to burnout, funnily enough, but at my last year of rebooting, I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. Wow, as soon as that year went by, as soon as we hit this year, it's just been going. So I'll be talking about a lot of stuff in the next update video after this, but for the end of this one, we're going to talk about news of a particular project that I wanted to do for the past 3 years now, which is going to be even more delayed, I'm afraid, but that's because it's not actually out yet, as well as ongoing projects that we've got going so far, so you know where we're at. But for this video in particular, everything in this box, except for one item, has been pre-ordered for my birthday, because nothing other than one that would have taken a bit of a time to just get delivered, so it was pre-ordered. So I had to wait until a certain amount of time had passed, so I've received everything, so I could, you know, thank everybody and, you know, cover it on here. And the reason being is because the latest item was from the 27th of May. My birthday's on the 4th, channels for anniversaries on the 7th. So you can see why we're halfway through June now, or beyond June actually, it's the 18th today. And I haven't made this video yet. I mean, it's not like it's an obligation, but at the same time it's like, where is this? But videos have still been coming out, as I've mentioned. So let's get into the reason why I'm doing this right now. It's finally here. Stella Chondrite has gifted me the final volume, volume 11, of the Twilight Princess manga. And it's basically just the final 3 phases of Ganondorf. That's where it leaves off. So, and, well, it changes it a bit. Not going to spoil it so you can read it, but it's not exactly the same, although it is quite close. It kind of elaborates more on a few things, as well as the established lore within the manga series in particular. But this means, and funnily enough, as you can see right here, there is no filing cabinet anymore, so they're not displayed anymore, even though I had the final one. So what I've had to do is get everything from here. Oh boy. Hold them like I'm holding a planner, and just pop that nicely on top. And there we go. Not as neat in my hand right now because I'm balancing them. Get them in the shot a bit better. There we are. We have all 11 volumes of the Twilight Princess manga. A tradition has been ended, so now we need to find something else to do every birthday and Christmas whenever these come out. And yes, as I mentioned, it was to be released on May 27th, so that means they were, obviously pre-orders were for then, but it came in late because they actually ran out of stock. They couldn't meet up with the demands of how many was pre-ordered at the time, but it was also on the exact same weekend that, funnily enough, Comic-Con in May for the London XL building for 2023 happened, so likely a lot of people, or maybe even stalls, brought all their stock in order to sell those events, so they were out, so we had to wait for the next lot, which only came in recently, and now it's here, so that would be the reason why. I mean, at some point, they're probably going to do a massive hardbook version of Twilight Princess manga, and just chuck it all in one big, or maybe even two hardcover books. I don't see why they wouldn't do that at some point, but, you know, obviously, got to release them in normal volumes, so that you can finish off your building collection as it comes out. That's how things work. That's how it is with TV shows coming on DVD, and then they release the last volume, and then they do a box set. So, you get what I mean. But, yeah, that is the entirety of the Twilight Princess manga, so a tradition has come to an end. You know what it is? Tears of the Kingdom. So, this came out May 12th. So, once again, I had to wait a little bit, and funnily enough, what I'm going to be talking about in the update video, because of what has been going on the channel, despite the amount of content coming out on the channel, I've actually had free time, when I'm not working, or with other stuff in personal life, able to just sit down, like, for a couple of days, just blast out some of the game. Funnily enough, I've only done one of the main 4 things. That's you know, because, like, that's what it was with the previous game, trying to be as cryptic as possible, give you an idea on how far I am story-wise, but not spoil it, if that makes sense. So, I've probably put in, like, well, I think my system says I've put about 80 hours into this game already, which is absolutely insane. But, at the same time, I don't think I've done anything. There was so much to do, like, for what, as we've seen from the trailers, I mean, technically, it's 3 times as big as its predecessor, and that world was supposed to be 9 times bigger than Skyrim, so if you think about it, this should probably be 27 times, but not actually, because the Sky map, not as packed, I'd like to say. It doesn't sprawl the whole floor like it does with the other 2 layers being Hyrule and below. And I think I can say that because, you know, the promotional material kind of says all that as well. I haven't actually spelled out anything. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. But yeah, I've been playing this, and yeah, there's not really much else for me to say that I can't spoil. But of course, I'm going to get the latest Zelda game. But this time, I only got the game. Notice that there's no fancy big box or separate unboxing like I did for Breath of the Wild up there. I didn't want the extra gubbins that this game came with. What was in with that one, you actually get like a Master Sword in a pedestal that you can have on your display and make it all look nice and stuff with the Silent Princess sticking out of the pedestal. But in this case, didn't want any of that extra stuff, just wanted the game. So thank you, Mama and Papa, for that. And now we've got another open world game, which is kind of hard to juggle. We have Hogwarts Legacy with the Haunted Hogsmeade side quest, which I don't have, although it doesn't say that on the box. Look at it right there. I've got those codes, but it doesn't say anything about the extra Hogsmeade quest, and yet I have that. But yes, I want to thank my nan for that one in particular, because, I mean, how do I say this? Harry Potter has been, like, part of my family. I know about the controversy and all that, and how it is, but at the same time, it's not going to do a dent in J.K. Rowling's wallet when, you know, the company building the game are trying to make a really good game, and it is basically an open world Hogwarts. You look at the map and it basically looks like, well, I don't know how else to explain it, Skyrim's map. It's kind of like a 3D model with little tags and little points that you can click on in order to fast travel and stuff. It pretty much is like Skyrim in terms of navigation. But yeah, Harry Potter's been like part of my family for years as well. My nan loves it, and she wanted it, but she's got nothing that can run it very well. She's only gone up to Wii and PS2, because that's where all the games were on prior. And her PC's not a gaming PC, so it's definitely not going to run Hogwarts Legacy. So unless I let her borrow my PS4 or Sibling Core's PS5, she's not going to be able to enjoy it. So she's kind of stuck with Hogwarts Mystery on the phone, and she's a little bit annoyed she can't play this, but she got it for me because she knew I had the system. But this version didn't come out at the exact same time as the original first versions of the game that came out for PlayStation 5 and PC, but it's also coming out on Switch sometime, I believe, in August, which, considering this is PS4 Pro enhanced, the only major changes that has been pointed out to be by Connor Meza is a couple of corridors that go from one part of the castle to another. Instead of it being like a twisted corridor with windows, it's just a boxed in bridge where you can't see through, and that's literally the only major difference other than maybe a grapple hit. But I've also noticed in certain cutscenes that it fades to black every so often during cutscenes. Maybe it's because that it has to load the next part of the cutscene, because it can't just load it all at once, because obviously this is PS5 down to PS4, has to be downscaled a bit. But in terms of how the game looks and how it runs incredibly smooth for being on PS4 Pro. So whatever modifications and optimizations that they did to move it down to the PS4, they gotta do even more of that crunching in order to make it run on Switch. And to run it on Steam Deck, it can't actually run it at a decent rate. You have to like run it at 20 frames or something and lower the resolution quite far down, and even then it eats up a lot of battery power from the videos that I've seen, at least, which is why I didn't get it on PC, because I don't even think my graphics card can really run the game that well. Funnily enough, I might have to start upgrading my PC again at some point, but at the time when graphics cards were hard to come by, that was a thing. But getting it on PS4 really homes in on that nostalgic factor for me personally, because again, the old Harry Potter games like Chamber of Secrets, which I used for the cutscene of opening this item, for the transition at least, I originally played those on PS2. That includes Chamber of Secrets and Philosopher's Stone on PS1 as well. I had both those versions, so when it came to getting this on what system, I mean, considering it was already on PS5, but I don't have a PS5 still, PS4 Pro made a lot more sense. And now we're getting to before my birthday, but I didn't receive this till obviously afterwards because it wasn't pre-ordered until then, and it has to be pre-ordered because it comes along overseas and it's made by manufacturing. It's Fangamer, because if you have seen at playthrough or experienced the game yourself, you would know. And even though this released before my birthday, in fact way before my birthday, the latest release only came out at the start of this year, and when I saw that I was like, it's back in stock, I would love this please. Thank you Sibling Courier for this. It's so cute! I can actually kind of plop Nico here on top, well, not in the shot I'm afraid, but that's where the stack of manga is. But yeah, actually you can sit on the chest, there we go. We have a little Nico plush. Now obviously Fangamer brand, you can actually see the tag. Actually I haven't removed it yet. There we are, Fangamer. Yeah, one shot Nico plushie. In fact, you got like little, can I have that please? Can I have that please? Thank you. It's a little foam light bulb, and Nico's hands are magnetic, so you can just hold it onto it like that. Look at that. Little bendable brim. This wasn't the original release of the plush. The original 25.4cm size, which was very big, was discontinued because they released this new one, which is about 16.5. I'm having to look at my notes to remember. The old original came out around about August 8th, 2019. This came out January 19th. So this only came out like at the start of this year. So you could be quite chuffed for me to know that, hey, you don't have to like spend a fortune on eBay in order to get this, because they're back in stock. And little did I know that Fangamer also actually has an EU shop. So it's more recent and pays in euros, because the original, the one that I had to get all my previous stuff from Undertale and all that, was the American branch, and they ship worldwide, thankfully. But then you've got delivery, then you've got import tax, and then you've got custom charges on top of that, which is really annoying, and it really doubles the price of certain things. And unfortunately, I did buy other stuff from Fangamer that I'm going to be showing alongside the opening of the physical. I'm going to have to obviously pay delivery charges for that because it's not available on the EU shop of Fangamer. But this was like one of the two things on one shot that was available on that site, whereas if you want the full site you have to go to the American branch, which is a bit annoying because in the UK tax is included in the price normally, but I'm guessing if you import from the US the prices don't have tax included, so when it's imported our tax has to be added on top of it, But because it also has to go through customs, because it's long distance delivery, plus being long distance delivery that you have to pay for shipping, you also have to pay custom charge so that they can, check to see, oh yeah, that's fair enough, that can be in this country, it's all good. But now that we've looked at it, we're charging it. So once again, I'd like to thank Sibling Corio for getting me this plush. She knew that I've been after it for a while, so she got that for me off of the EU store. So thank you very much for that. It can sit on a shelf, like it's designed to sit overhang a shelf, because it's actually, you're right there, buddy. You kind of falling off a little. Why don't you just sit on the chair behind? Okay, buddy? And we have one more left to cover. Ta Papa. The Star Trek animated series collection, and it's an actual box set, not a set of boxes. Do you remember when that happened? When my nan gifted me each individual disc of the original Star Trek series, which, by the way, were the original series, originals, not the ones with the extra special 3D stuff for the planets and the spaceships. It was the proper original effects that were very grainy. And now we have the last 2 seasons, or what was supposed to be the last 2 seasons, live action special, in animated form. And to be fair, even though I have been told it's not Hanna-Barbera style, it does look like the classic Scooby-Doo generic character style. If I can get that not in the light there, you can see it pretty well from that angle. But yeah, pop this open real quick. I think it's 4 discs big. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, haven't started watching it yet again. It took me forever to get through the series, but when I started blasting it out, I did. And yeah, so I now have the full original series on DVD, next gen. Not all the films on DVD. I think we're missing First Contact on DVD. I think all the other films we do have. The motion pictures, as in the original series movies, including Generations, which is next gen as well, the crossover in a way. That I don't have on DVD. We do have the full red box video box set. I'll see if I can put an image here to show you what I'm talking about. But we have that, but we don't have them all on DVD. However, we do have all of Next Gen, the original series on DVD, and then we have the full Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and, well, obviously you can watch all the other series on Paramount Plus and all that, but I have got to get into Picard, because it's only 3 seasons long, but it's really good. Also have Enterprise on DVD, which I think is actually alright for what it is. A lot of people don't think that, and that's why they're cancelled, but I think that, especially with seasons 3 and 4, wow, that's really good. But that's how it is, and, Star Trek still had a rocky start, despite how everyone seems to love the original. The original was never finished. They had to go animated in order to fill in those last 2 years, and that was still about 5 years or 5 to 10 years after the live action series already ended, and they had to get the original, cast voices only to do this, because it is the original voice cast at least, so at least there's still consistency there. They just didn't have to go into a set and do filming and all that. They just had to record their lines, submit them, and all the animation is handled like that. So there's going to be a hell of a watch. I think it's time to move on to the news now, because we've been on this for a little bit too long. This is the package. A man.
He's the package.
It's Maximilian Pegasus.
The total package. Ooh. No.
So it's been quite a while since I've done any news videos in particular, or anything in an update video, because we've been having videos come out like crazy. But there's one thing that I do want to actually talk about, and that's the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. Unfortunately, it's kind of suffered the same fate as Metroid Prime 4, except for the fact that we saw gameplay, or what should have been gameplay from Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Metroid Prime 4, all we still have to this day, since before even the Switch's release, is a logo. At least we've seen what could have been for Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, but unfortunately development's been completely restarted. So I have no idea when that's going to be, so I'm just going to have to put those plans on hold. I mean, I already have been for quite a few years now, but at this point, as far as I can tell, development's restarted, so yeah, that's just kind of in the ether, except that's not the case, because, funnily enough, they have now announced another Prince of Persia game that is confirmed to be releasing on January 18th, 2024, and that is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. But you don't play as the prince, I think you play as his captain of the guard or something. But you also have the ability to have certain costume options from Warrior Within, which I believe is the third or it's in the Sands of Time quadrilogy of games. It's what the prince wears from one of those games. It's the red one with the chest armor. So that Captain of the Guard in that new Prince of Persia 2D game that's coming out on Switch next year has cosmetic options for from the prince from Warrior Within. However, they also have Assassin's Creed Mirage, which will also have the Prince of Persia Sands of Time cosmetics, and I believe the Dagger of Time is a weapon skin. But the Sands of Time thing itself, it's kind of weird, because like they're promoting or including Sands of Time quadrilogy related cosmetics in these other Prince of Persia or Ubisoft like games, because remember when Assassin's Creed 1 came out, that's pretty much when they were done with Prince of Persia. In fact, you could tell the similar design choice of the characters. So it was kind of like Prince of Persia's done, moving on to Assassin's Creed. So now they're feeding it back in because they were thinking about bringing Prince of Persia back, and they have with Lost Crown. But we're still kind of like waiting on the remake. Like there was nothing mentioned about that. It was just a post. So it's like, at least with Metroid Prime 4, like, they actually just came up to you on a screen, white background saying, sorry, we have restarted development. We're telling you this because we just want to be upfront about it, so you're not waiting with bated breath, thinking, oh, it's time to announce it. Yeah, we're actually at ground zero. We're just telling you right now. We don't want to, obviously this is upsetting news, but we don't want to just leave you hanging, thinking, hey, we'll show maybe a still image, like with Pikmin 4, before actually dropping trailers. That was a dick move, Miyamoto. Why did you do that? Pikmin 4 is now actually coming out, which is mind-blowing. I still haven't gone back to play Pikmin 3 Deluxe yet, so although I do know what Pikmin 3 is, I've played it, I'd rather play Pikmin 4. Still don't know when I want to get to Pikmin 3 on this channel yet. Let's get on to what we've got ongoing. Now, it may look like that I'm going to be talking about less than what we actually have in our ongoing project segment on the channel's front page, but there's a reason for that, because some of them are already finished, or at least in the main story, and waiting bonus episodes, which are being worked on, or in the background. So first of all, we have our Pokemon Omega Ruby Randomizer Squad Lock, which you haven't seen anything about, and that's basically because since when we got to our 3rd and 4th badges, Kazu's PC's been having major issues, possibly being his motherboard, so he had to get a new PC, which he has now because we've been recently streaming on the Nerd Herd again, because I mean, with work and life and such, we haven't been doing anything mostly on the Nerd Herd except for serialized stuff like with Pokemon Scarlet, as well as the odd thing like me practicing for certain verses, which I will be talking about in my next video, being a full update video. But now he's got his PC working again, so we could do that. We could even return to Pokemon and get on with the Sebi Islands, because I haven't done that yet. But I've been working on other projects, because there's so much stuff coming out. And not only that, I want to move on, and then I'll come back to it. The main Let's Play is done. The main bulk of the content is done. Extras can wait, because I want to get the ball rolling, and it's been steadily rolling. Steadily. And speaking of, since that we are on a roll, Pokemon Scarlet Online with Companion, mostly, but it's with the Nerd Herd since it's streamed there and I edit my own end right here. So as you knew, after the 3rd live stream, we took a break because of circulation with save data corruption, because the game is an absolute bloody mess. It's unstable as hell, because I keep getting tall invisible walls of glitchy mess just appearing out of nowhere. The game runs at like 10 frames a second, and hills in the distance are just randomly de-rendering, either if they're far away or close to me. I know it must have something to do with like the perspective of the camera and it's culling it in, but they randomly appear and disappear while I'm looking at them. Like, I'm looking at you, you're supposed to be rendered, why are you disappearing? And quite frankly, the game is quite ugly to look at, especially for what it is. There was no anti-aliasing, as in like, there's jaggies literally all over the place. I don't know what resolution's the game running on, 500p? Some things look like they're straight out of like PS2, like GTA 3, like, not like that's supposed to be an insult, but sometimes when you look at a building that's on the floor, it doesn't look like it's actually there. It looks like it's kind of been projected on or just stuck on the floor, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's just, I'm trying to walk from point A to point B and the frame rate is 10. Like, why is it so bad? And the only patches they've been recently doing is for competitive battling, which funnily enough, when in battle, you don't really have many performance issues. We're still playing it, and I'm still enjoying it to a certain extent, still more so than Sword and Shield, that I want to keep coming back to it. But what keeps putting me off is just how the game functions. It barely runs, and since we've now got, you know, Tears of the Kingdom out on the same system, this took 6 years to develop for, which by the way I never mentioned. Nintendo delayed releasing this game for a full year just to test out the physics, as well as make sure that the game is fully optimized as best they can. You still get frame rate drops occasionally if you make too big of a contraption, or you're using Ultra Hand in a very populated area like Kakariko Village. The frame rate does dip, but it does recalculate itself to try and restore the frame rate. And I've actually had more of a locked-ish 30 frame experience than its prequel Breath of the Wild, which is less to render on the system. But you know why? That's because that they not only put extra effort into this game, but it was also developed solely for the Switch hardware, whereas with Breath of the Wild, it had to work on both Wii U and Switch, and the Switch was also new tech at the time. Even with people who make the hardware, the longer you develop on something, the more you become intimate with the technology and how it's programmed. And with that, you can optimize, you can make things better, and it just runs smoothly. Again, with Hogwarts Legacy, I'm bringing both of these up. This has been delayed for PS4 Pro, so it can run smoothly and look amazing, even though it's on last-gen hardware, and not on the PS5. Yes, obviously it's on PS5, it's on PC, they're probably using the PC to bring it down, get those specs correct, and then put it on here. But again, I would like to see how they do it on Switch, because with Pokemon, it's an embarrassment. I can't say that enough. I don't like ragging on it, but at the same time, if you don't call out the bullshit, things don't change. And unfortunately, even though I'm still enjoying Pokemon Scarlet as much as I can, the way that the game runs and functions and looks, I'm just like, if the next game or the next generation comes out, I'm not going to be interested, because even Sword and Shield at some points felt unfinished. Gen 6 with the power plant felt unfinished. There were doors you could never go in. DLC was coming out for Sword and Shield, but nothing happened for X and Y. Why? Why? They have big problems. So I really do not know how to feel about moving up to Gen 10. I think I might be stopping at Gen 9. And I was dubious on getting into Gen 9 to begin with. But when I saw the feature of playing with other people online and saw it was going to be open world, I was like, yes, that's what Sword and Shield was supposed to be. But they rushed it. They actually released it earlier than the anime that it was tied to, when normally it's supposed to all come out at once. So they released it even further ahead, and it suffered for it. But I think I talked about that last time, so I'm not going to rag on about that too much. You know the stories. It's just that after Pokemon Scarlet, I'm probably not moving on to future Pokemon games unless they get their act together. We need to hit them where it hurts in Game Freak's wallet. Because if Nintendo had anything to say, they would have delayed it. But unfortunately, Pokemon Company and Game Freak are a subsidiary sort of thing. They're not fully on Nintendo. They're just a third-party developer like Rareware. They don't have a say on delaying it. But with this, they clearly did, and it needed it. And finally, as you probably would have been aware, since, you know, the anniversary has kind of came and went for the channel, we've hit 10 years on this platform. And we've been doing a Zelda Twilight Princess Any Percent Versus with Conor Meza, Super Linkario, Panda Man, Spirit Wolf, and Blue Hedgehog Man 17. And although we had up to part 7 recorded, once again, Panda Man alongside Mama Panda have been off on holiday recently at the time of making this video, so we haven't actually been editing, we haven't been recording anymore since then. We got to get back on that, but at the same time, again, bringing it in frame because it has to invade your space. It wants your time, and you have to give in, because it's an open world game, and it came out, and everybody wants to play it, including myself. It's not like I'm prioritizing it over the Versus, which is the channel's 10th anniversary special, but because of all the other content coming out, Part 7's still not public yet. I've been pacing it out so that everyone with their own personal life and such is available to record more. I'm not going to be rushing people because that's rude. So whenever we continue with it, which we will be soon, we'll be seeing more of that. And we're pretty much halfway through the game already, let's be fair here. Because you have 2 sets of dungeons, you do the Palace of Twilight, you do Ganon's Hyrule Castle, fight Ganon, and you're done. So if you break it down that way, we're technically halfway through. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the verses as it comes out. Speaking of verses, we've been doing a lot of those recently. So as you already know, I'm not going to be stopping on the challenge roads of A Hat in Time because I want every trophy, and challenge road 41 at the time of this video I haven't recorded yet, but I have practiced. And it's a bit of a doozy. There's still no word on extra creator DLC on it yet. As you know, I've got other content coming out, so I haven't been going to cover any additional mods other than the challenge roads. It seems a bit bad considering it's just challenge road, challenge road, challenge road, challenge road, but they're within a month and I've got many other videos coming out. And I did recently release a video talking about all the Steam exclusive stuff, which I do need to cover on other games as well, which is basically going to be the same kind of thing, except for the fact that on the Steam Deck the game has issues, and even though I've got it working, it still has the occasional non-booting and I have to reboot the system in order to get the game to run. And yeah, next video in terms of this will be a general update video coming soon, and I want to be talking about basically what we have recently completed on the channel, as well as what I have planned, which to be fair is only one, because the next Let's Play that I was going to have come out after Zelda Majora's Mask 3D, after it goes public, because, you know, it's fully complete in terms of the main story for Patreons. At this time of this video's creation, up to part 36 is published, so when that hits 40, I already have the next Let's Play recorded in full, edited, done, so I've got a bit more of a break to play these. So I'll see you guys next time for the update video on that, or if any free game stuff comes along, or anything else that we do on the YouTube scope. That will give you a clue about what we've been doing if you haven't been keeping up, but until then, see you guys next time.